Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk today. I'm glad that you joined us. We have a special guest, Dr. Dan Lloyd, the director of the Iowa Beef Center from Iowa State University. Is going to be with us. We're going to talk about steroid implants. We're going to talk about the impact they have on the efficiency of the beef industry, impact on carcass, and some of the things and myths about safety. Thanks for joining us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com. This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine. Your stem cells, your health, your life.
Well, welcome to the show. Folks, this is Dr. Dan Lloyd. He's from Iowa State University, where he's a professor and the director of the Iowa Beef Center. And we're pleased to have you here on the show and taking some time out of your busy schedule to talk about steroid implants.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. It's exciting to be here down in Manhattan, Kansas.
Well, it's, the work that you've done for our industry, the work you continue to do, whether it's through extension or outreach, steroid implants has been a part of your life for quite a while, haven't they?
Long time. I actually did my thesis work on this many years ago. And actually, Dan, if you recall, we used to sit down and talk about implants like this when you were in graduate school, only we didn't have a camera.
I know it. That was I followed your work and Rod Preston and yourself, and then I did my thesis on steroid implants.
Yep,
so this is kind of exciting for me to be able to spend this. So tell me a little bit about steroid implants and what they are and kind of what they do.
Yeah, well, so it's a technology that the beef industry relies on quite a bit and is a little bit misunderstood. But if you look at products and technologies that are out there in terms of the ability to return value per dollar invested, there's probably no technology that does that or reduces the cost of production and ultimately the cost of beef for consumers more than implants do. And so that's something I think that's really important to consider as we look at. I mean, basically we're looking at, with implants, we're looking at products that can increase growth rate in cattle from 10 to as much as 25 or 30% for a terminal implant, and feed conversions from somewhere around 7 or 8% for the basic estrogen type implants to as much as 15 to almost 20%. And so if you look at that and its impact on the growth rate in the product, in the cost of production, there's really not any other technologies that do that to that extent.
Steroids were discovered or patented at least in the 50s at Iowa State.
That's right. That's right. The very first implants were developed by Dr. Burroughs at Iowa State, and it led to the development of some of the pharmaceutical companies that exist today that are still in the implant business.
Big time. And so one of the things is that we're not talking about big amounts of compound. Being placed in the ear.
No, it's a very small amount. And one of the things that kind of differentiate the beef industry in the U.S. compared to Europe or Brazil is that American consumers don't like to eat meat from bulls, and so this technology replaces some of those hormones that would naturally exist and the effects that they have on growth rate in carcass. And it does the same thing with younger heifers that naturally produce less estrogen, for example. But the amounts to do that are just minuscule in comparison to what's naturally produced in the beef animal.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you being here on the show. We're going to take a break, folks, and when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about how these implants work, how to design a program for your farm or ranch. More with Dr. Dan Lloyd from Iowa State University after these messages.
Watch Ag AM in Kansas online at agaminkansas.com.
Buying a car shouldn't be this hard. And at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego, it isn't. It's actually awesome. Whether you want a new or used car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. Even if you want to custom order a new car or truck, Toby's team can make the deal. See Toby's team at Brown Chevrolet Buick in Wamego. We're awesome.
Soil is the life of a farm, and for 25 years, SureCrop Liquid Crop Nutrition has helped growers produce abundant quality crops while preserving and improving the soils they steward. SureCrop offers complete soil and plant analysis with cropping recommendations, delivery direct to your on-farm storage, and quality crop nutrition custom blended for your field. Choose SureCrop for the assurance of excellence for your soil. Call today or visit their website for more information. This segment is brought to you by Santa Fe Trail Meats in Overbrook, or visit us online at sftmeats.com.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan here with Dr. Dan, Dr. Dan Thomson and Dr. Dan Loy. Dr. Loy is the director of the Iowa Beef Center at Iowa State University, and he's in the Department of Animal Sciences there. And, you know, what kind of compounds are we utilizing in steroid implants?
Well, there's several different compounds that you'll find if you read the labels and look at what veterinarians have on the shelves, but really there's two basic active ingredients that really promote growth that are in those compounds. They're both hormones. One is estrogen. You know, you mentioned that I did research on this many years ago as part of my thesis. At that time, all of the implants that were available were estrogen implants. Later, the androgen implants were developed, and that's implants I believe you worked on and as part of your work. And those are male hormones. They're different than the male hormones that are naturally produced in that they're more anabolic and that they promote muscle growth and have less of some of the sexual side effects that we see, the crusty necks and those types of effects. But both of those work by increasing muscle growth, repartitioning nutrients from fat to muscle, and in that, as a result of that, we see faster growth rate and we see a more efficient product that's produced. The important thing and the reason that we differentiate between the androgens and the estrogens is that some of the implants contain both of those, and when you do that, you basically double the response. And so when you might get a 10 or 12% improvement in daily gain with the combination implants, it's more like 20% or even. We have a study going on right now at Iowa State looking at implants and no implants in finishing cattle. And in the first 56 days, the response was about 25% in terms of growth rate with no implant versus a combination implant. And those are the ones that are usually used as the final implant, the terminal implant, when we in a feedlot situation.
Yep. So when I go about developing a program for my cattle, and you have some great materials on the Iowa Beef Center, and that's kind of where I came up with the idea of doing this show. Because how do you start out having that conversation about what's best for my herd or my group of steers?
Yeah, I think the important thing to remember, and I really emphasize this with producers, is that the most important implant is the last implant before you market the cattle. And if you're a cow-calf producer, that's that calf hood implant. You're going to get 30 pounds more weaning weight, plus or minus 10 pounds. With a feedlot producer, it's that terminal implant in the feedlot. And if you develop your marketing date, work back 60 to 100 days, usually we say 70 or 80 days, and that's when you need to administer your terminal implant. Then depending on the timing prior to that, then you determine the implant that you use prior to that.
Gotcha. So you know, we'd use an initial implant up front in the feeding period, and then the second implant, if needed, if they're going to be on feed that long, we'd come back at 70 to 100 days prior to slaughter.
Exactly.
Good. Well, we're going to get into more about the effects of these different implant programs that they have on performance, on carcass, and attaining your goals for you and your farm. You're watching DocTalk, and we're sure glad that you joined us.
No matter where, no matter why, the Veterinary Health Center at Kansas State University is committed to providing quality patient care to animals and exceptional customer service to their owners. From routine checkups to emergency and specialty care. Our world-renowned specialists and experienced professionals are here to discover, to teach, and to heal.
Let us know.
How can I help?
How can we help?
Next time you see a beautiful field of corn, reach out and thank the farmers who work tirelessly to raise corn for livestock feed, renewable fuels, and exports to feed a growing world population. The farmers on the Kansas Corn Commission work for Kansas Corn with grower-funded checkoff dollars that support foreign and domestic market development, research, promotion, and education to expand opportunities for Kansas farmers. To learn more, visit kscorn.com.
Grain sorghum is one of the most important cereal crops worldwide, and Kansas leads the nation in its production. Over the years, sorghum has been either exported, used in animal feed domestically, or for other industrial uses. Recently, its use in the ethanol market has seen tremendous growth, with 30% of domestic sorghum typically going to ethanol production. Kansas Grain Sorghum is committed to sorghum research, market development, and education. Learn more at ksgrainsorghum.org.
The BQA Tip of the Day, sponsored by Beringer Engelheim Vetmedica Inc.
Howdy, I'm Kurt Pate with the Tip of the Day. We deal with a lot of bulls around this place, and we get along with them pretty good because we work them a lot. And if you work them properly and move them quite a bit, the fighting will reduce, and every time you move them, they learn to take pressure, and then when you start to work with them, they don't start fighting each other.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
I'm Rexanne Struve, veterinarian in Western Iowa. I have a veterinary clinic and started doing stem cell therapy on dogs in August of 2014. And after the first 2 dogs, after 3 weeks, I saw such dramatic results. I said, hey, I have arthritis. I have joints that really need this help. Where can I go to get this done? I had stem cell therapy done in November of 2014 on my finger joints, my hip, and the ball of my left foot, all of which I'd had real severe problems with. Saw a pretty dramatic improvement in a short amount of time. I would certainly recommend that somebody don't wait until I'm in the position that I was in with the damage already done to my joints. I encourage veterinarians to use it for their animals, and I encourage anybody who sees this video, if you have need, get in contact with these people because this is a phenomenal place to have this done.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Soybean Commission. Progress powered by Kansas farmers.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thomson here with Dr. Dan Loy. We're at Kansas State University, and Dr. Loy is here visiting today from the Iowa Beef Center at Iowa State University, where he's the director. And we're talking about steroid implants. And we got to that picking the last implant that we would give the cattle as we own them, whether it's the calf hood or the terminal implant for feeder steers. Now there's some potentially in between.
Well, yes. I mean, if you look at the different combinations that are available out there, you know, there's 30 to 30, I think 34 is the number of implants that are on shelves that veterinarians have. And if you start looking at the potential number of implants that can be used, let's say if you use 2 in a finishing period, that's 34 squared potential combinations that could be used in an implant program. So it gets to be really confusing for producers. So what we like to do is, you know, classify it by their active ingredient, the estrogen or the androgen, their dosage or their potency, and then the implants within that group, I don't feel strongly about which ones they pick. So that narrows it down. And then start, as I mentioned, start at the end, because that last implant, the last 80 to 100 days, is the most important implant that they're using. And then count backwards, and then look at your goals, your strategic goals on what you want to accomplish for that period prior to that. The worst time to develop an implant program is when the veterinarian's standing there in front of the chute, you're processing calves, and say, hey doc, what should I use? And that happens way too often. So be strategic, start at the end, start at the marketing, because that's when the cattle are growing the fastest. The response is on a percentage basis, and so having the best implant you can use in working when those cattle are growing the fastest is going to be the most effective.
So at the end, you're going to have that terminal or the highest potency
Right.
implant, and then I'm assuming that your lower potency implants are what you're going to use on the suckling calves.
Exactly.
And then those medium.
And then in the medium in between will be kind of developed on the timing. If it's a short duration, you might use a lower dosage, and your overall strategies and goals. If your goal is to, you're in a situation where feed costs are low, you want to maximize your impact on cost of production, you might be more aggressive and use the higher potency. If you're concerned about carcass quality, and we may get into that in another segment, then you might be a little more conservative at the end.
Yeah, so I always look at the low, medium, high potency implants, so 3 implants in a calf's life, but there are other products on the market now that we may not even have to re-implant.
Some of the newer technologies are looking at the delivery system where it extends the time that the implants are available, and that's the newest implants that are out there. They're a little more expensive, but they reduce the need to bring the cattle in and re-implant them, and so that really increases the flexibility.
Yeah, and when I'm out in practice, if a person doesn't know the number of days that cattle are going to be on feed, generally speaking, I'll use one of those longer day implants,
Right.
because then we just don't have to have the guesswork
Exactly.
involved. Well, this has been a great show, folks, to get Dr. Loy here on the show. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the effects of implants on carcass and some of the myths about safety. You're watching DocTalk. More after these messages.
Broadband has become as important to us as highways. That is why DocTalk is teaming up with NTCA, the Rural Broadband Association, and rural broadband companies like Blue Valley Telecommunications in fighting for quality broadband access through the program Smart Rural Communities.
I don't think we have any idea what's coming in the future. I couldn't have imagined 5 years ago what we're doing today. So in 2 years, I would guess there's things we can't imagine that we're going to be doing.
To learn more, visit ntca.org/smart or bluevalley.net.
I will take action against herbicide-resistant weeds. I will know my weeds, and I will stop them before they go to seed. I will do whatever it takes to give my crops the upper hand, and I will use multiple herbicide sites of action because every action counts. I will take action, this time for all time.
Ag Promo Source is a unique group of marketing specialists with one mission: help your ag business grow. Each affiliate has their own area of expertise, and they work together to bring you advice, products, and services. To get started, visit agpromosource.com. Ag Promo Source. Together we grow.
This Meet the Future Veterinarian is brought to you by Zuprevo. Choose confidence. Choose Zuprevo for BRD treatment.
Jim Coffey grew up in Prairie Grove, Arkansas, just outside of Fayetteville, on a small sheep and dairy goat farm. Since childhood, Jim has always had an affinity for animals, especially large animal production with cattle and small ruminants. After graduation, he'll be heading off to Disneyland, but after that, he plans to join a mixed animal practice in Shattuck, Oklahoma.
KFRM is one of the largest farm radio stations in the nation, dedicated to informing and entertaining rural listeners from northern Oklahoma to southwestern Nebraska. You can catch KFRM in many ways. Of course, 550 on the AM dial, streaming at kfrm.com, or on your smartphone by going to the TuneIn Radio app, or on Ag AM in Kansas on Tuesdays and Facebook every day of the week. KFRM, tune us in. You'll be glad you did.
Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture, represents grassroots agriculture. The state's largest and most powerful farm organization stands up for its members through leadership development, agriculture education, legal defense, environmental advocacy, farm safety, and risk management. Members also enjoy money-saving benefits. To join our organization today or to learn more, go to www.kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Healthy cows start with the new hired hand automatic livestock sprayer. Rancher invented to provide an efficient alternative to pour-on and injectable parasite management systems. The portable design allows cattle to treat themselves head to hoof. Strategic device placement with pass-through activation technology takes the stress out of parasite treatment for cattle and the rancher, leaving more time to tend to other vital tasks on the farm. To learn more, visit cowsprayer.com. The new hired hand makes healthy cows easy.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Farm Bureau, the voice of agriculture. To join today or more information, go to kfb.org or find us on Facebook and Twitter.
Hey folks, Dr. Dan here with Dr. Dan Loy, who's the director of the Iowa Beef Center at Iowa State University, which they have a wonderful website that you need to go and check out. And your website is?
IowaBeefCenter.org. Yep. Iowa Beef Center, all one word.
Yep, IowaBeefCenter.org. And so let's talk a little bit about carcass and safety with steroid implants. So what impacts will I notice with steroid implants on the carcass, or potentially notice?
Well, I mentioned that in other countries the preferred production is bulls, and right. So bulls, they grow faster, they're more muscular, they'll have their growth rate of muscle is faster, they have less fat, and so what implants do is take steers, which is the preferred beef that consumers in the U.S. like, and brings back some of that lost performance that we would have with bulls. So it shifts the growth curve. Basically what we see is it has some of the effects, if you're familiar with frame size. An implant will increase the frame size about 1 frame score. So at the same weight, they're going to have more muscle and less fat. And with the combination implants we talked about, it has about the same effect as increasing it about 2 frame scores. So we're looking at cattle that need to be 150 to as much as 200 pounds heavier to be at the same body composition, same fat thickness, same yield grade, and same carcass quality. And so that means we may need to feed them a few extra days on feed to get them to the same marbling score. Or if we're going to be more aggressive in our feeding program, we may slightly decrease marbling score. Some of our combination implants have a little higher dosage, and we can sometimes see maybe a 10% reduction in carcass quality grade, but at the same time a further improvement in feed efficiency. So there's trade-offs there depending on what the incentives are from a carcass standpoint and as well as a cost of production standpoint.
Cool. Well, I know you've done some work on safety in steroid implants, and we don't have much time, but if you can kind of summarize some of the stuff, and it's on the website, correct? It's on the website. We have a fact sheet that's kind of written for consumers on, hormones in beef. Why do we use hormone implants? What are the impacts on the beef product and that type of thing? Just to kind of summarize very quickly, the amount of estrogen, for example, that's added in a beef steak, and I looked at it as a pound beef steak. Most people don't quite eat that much. Is added as just a couple of nanograms, which is a very small amount in comparison to the thousands of nanograms that we produce in our bodies every day, whether we're male or female, and in other food products, legumes, soy specifically, have much, much more. Yeah. Well, go to their website, IowaBeefCenter.org, and check out all the information they have on implants, on safety, carcass, and all that. Thanks for being on the show today. You bet. Dr. Happy to do it. Thanks for watching today. Remember, always work with your local veterinarian, and if you want to know more about what we do on DocTalk, you can find us on the web at www.doctalktv.com. Thanks for watching today, folks. I'm Dr. Dan Thomson, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed captioning brought to you by Ag Promo Source. Together we grow. Learn more at agpromosource.com.